Hello, wonderful people of the great World Wide Web. Welcome to the Sept channel and my motorcycle ride series titled What's Next? Welcome to the third and final part of my TET Croatia adventure. In case you missed the first two parts, I highly recommend giving them a watch to catch up on my journey so far. I stayed near Udbine for the night and woke up early, with the heavy rain serving as a lullaby for me throughout the night. But my brain couldn't shake off the fear of that one part of the route that made me want to crawl under a rock. As morning came and the rain stopped, my anxiety only intensified because I knew the roads and paths would be drenched. Let's find out what's next. I was all set to ride, drinking my coffee, but then the rain started pouring down again. So naturally, I took it as a sign from the universe that I should stay put and order another coffee. As I sat in the restaurant, watching the rain pour outside, my mind was cooking up excuses to not continue. I was aware that my tires weren't suitable for wet surfaces, and to add to that, I was tantalizingly close to the road that would lead me to the comfort of my dry home. After the rain stopped, I made a decision to continue my ride. While waiting for the rain to clear, I brainstormed potential escape routes just in case I decided to throw in the towel. Eventually, I made a way to the gas station in Udbine to fuel up my tank and stock up on some much-needed nutrition in form of protein bars, nuts and water. The beginning of the ride was a breeze, with stunning landscapes and well-groomed roads. It was almost like the TET was trying to lull me into a false sense of security. As I continued on, the rain made a few unwelcome comebacks. And just when I thought things could get any worse, I hit a muddy path that felt like a slippery ice rink. And if that wasn't enough, the navigation at this point was a bit confusing. And when the skies opened up and rain started to fall hard, I did a quick U-turn and headed back a few kilometers to the cozy little village I had just passed through. I mean, why suffer out in the middle of nowhere when you can wait out a storm in the company of friendly locals who might just give you some much-needed directions, right? I waited in the village for the rain to stop for half an hour, maybe a bit more. Bonding with the village dogs, smoking a few cigarettes and chatting with the kind locals who offered me food, coffee and even a place to hide from the rain. I couldn't help but laugh at their comical complaints about some adventure riders who speed through their village, creating dust clouds that messed up their freshly washed laundry. Their lightheartedness about the situation was amusing, but it also made me feel a twinge of sadness. Life can be tough in those parts of Croatia, you know. The rain had stopped, so I said goodbye to the friendly pack of dogs and the locals who had helped me with directions. I continued on, riding alongside the muddy part that had been worrying me, sticking to the field right by the trail. As I pushed further, the road conditions began to worsen. But as long as I stayed off the muddy trails and rode on surfaces with stones, it was manageable. It was like the route was playing a mind game with me, gradually getting worse and worse as I approached the dreaded railroad crossing that marked the beginning of the scariest part of the ride. It was like the route was testing my nerves and skills before the ultimate challenge. Here we are, at the beginning of the most grueling section of TET Croatia. I took a break and climbed up the road to check out the terrain and conditions. I have to be honest, I was scared out of my wits and questioning my sanity. The incline is steep, with massive, unstable rocks that were even more intimidating in person than in the YouTube videos. Plus, the wet surface added to my fears. Well, turning back wasn't an option for me. My stubbornness won over my inner crybaby who was begging for a way out. I took a deep breath and began the slow ascent up the hill. This time, I did remember to deflate my tires, not all the way down, only to the setting I usually ride without any luggage. Maybe a bit less. The first part was like walking on eggshells, riding on a muddy surface with a steep drop on the right. I was going slower than a sloth on sleeping pills, but the fear of taking a one-way trip to the railroad tracks kept me in check. While riding too slow, my bike stalled. Though I managed to keep it upright for a moment, it wasn't long until I found myself and the bike on the ground, trying to figure out the best way to pick it up on the steep, slippery surface. bike drop had an unexpected positive effect. Struggling to pick up the bike again, I forgot all my fears and went into survival mode. My mind was solely focused on picking up the bike and managing to ride it up to the top of the hill. Well, I managed to do it. With some serious effort, I picked up my bike and started moving up the hill. To be honest, it was less like riding and more like walking my bike beneath me. After about 10-20 meters of this struggle, I decided it was time for a well-deserved break to catch my breath. After the break, I started climbing uphill with much more confidence, determined to find the best trail between the rocks. I almost made it on the first try, but the huge wet rock stopped me in my tracks. After catching my breath and hopping over stones, I did it. I managed to conquer the hill that had been haunting me like a dark shadow for the last 3 days. When I finally reached the easy part at the top of the hill, I couldn't find the words to express how I felt. but you can definitely hear it in my triumphant screams. After my glorious triumph and replenishing myself with some delicious snacks and hydrating, all while admiring the picturesque views of the surrounding scenery, I resumed my journey towards Knin. With about 50 kilometers remaining, I felt invincible. However, I knew better than not to get too cocky. I still had yet to reach the finish line, and who knows what lay ahead on those unpredictable roads. rest of the ride was a breeze on more or less well-maintained gravel roads, with some paved sections. When I caught a glimpse of the Čupkovica train bridge, a familiar sight from my previous cycling trips, I knew I was close to the finish line. However, I would like to share a cautionary tale about the bridge's history. In 1962, a powerful gust of wind ripped a part of the train right off the bridge. So fellow adventure riders, if the forecast predicts strong winds of Bura, and if the wind starts howling, find another route unless you want to test your balancing skills on two wheels. As I laid my eyes on the city of Knin, I couldn't help but feel an immense sense of pride. Without being falsely modest, I knew that I had done a great job, and it gave me a confident boost for my future off-road adventures. And with this stunning view, I conclude my TET Croatia series. If you enjoyed my content, please hit the like button and subscribe. Your support means a lot to me. Stay safe and keep exploring.